All right, welcome back. This particular hour we'll be focusing on the eye, the conditions that affect the eye, and specifically we'll be talking about trachoma. We have the National Trachoma Coordinator, Ernest Barasa, joining us to tell us more about the condition. Welcome to the Power Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
All right. What is trachoma?
Trachoma is an infectious eye disease that is caused by a bacterium called Chlamydia trachomatis. Repeated infections of trachoma, usually starting from early childhood, end up causing blindness in the later life of an adult when the eyelashes turn into the eye and start brushing on the eye, causing ulcers, which can perforate the eye, or causing corneal scarring. Corneal scars are usually white and opaque and do not allow light into the eye.
So why would eyelashes go to the eye? Why can't they get shaved? When that is happening, you just cut them.
Repeated infections cause the scarring of the upper conjunctiva, which I'll demonstrate. This part of the eye.
Did you see that? My goodness. You did see that?
That is what?
Let's focus on that. So that's your camera.
Yeah.
Repeated infections of trachoma usually cause scarring within the upper tarsal conjunctiva that I'm going to demonstrate here.
Yeah. Again, let's see that. So that's what happens.
So after that is the conjunctiva, the inner lining of the eye. Yeah. So once the repeated infections have occurred, that part of the eye becomes scarred. And when the conjunctiva is scarred, it gets contracted. It folds itself. And normally it folds the eyelashes into the eye instead of out of the eye. And traditionally, communities affected have used improvised instruments to pluck the eyelashes. And so they get a temporary relief after plucking the eyelashes, but the eyelashes grow again and again. So it's not a lasting solution. The lasting solution would be to carry out an operation that would rotate the upper eyelid so that the eyelashes eventually look outside.
Maybe what causes trachoma? You said it's a bacteria.
It's a bacteria.
Where does it come from?
Bacteria is common in trachoma is common in arid and semi-arid districts of our country and elsewhere in the world. These areas are characterized by scarcity of water, hot, dusty environments with poor sanitation. So when this bacteria is existent within a given community, it is also transmissible from person to person, and is usually transmitted through what we call 3 Fs: by flies, by fingers, and by fomites. Fomites.
What is fomite?
Fomites are non-living things like shared towels, shared basins, wash basins, shared clothings, especially if a mother wipes a child's eye with her lasso and uses the same lasso to wipe another child.
So is it true that it's only found in particular communities and other communities now?
It is not a matter of being found in particular communities. It is the risk factors that are the defining element. That is the conditions where there is scarcity of water, hot, dry, arid areas where the bacteria flourish well, and where there is scarcity of water, people usually don't have enough water to use for cooking, for drinking, and for washing their faces. So in most cases, they would prioritize use of water for drinking and washing their faces. And the pastoralist communities more often prioritize even livestock, watering the livestock,
Then washing
above
faces.
washing faces or washing their own bodies.
So as the National Trachoma Coordinator, what does your organization do particularly?
I'm in the Ministry of Health in the Division of Ophthalmic Services. The Division of Ophthalmic Services is charged with the responsibility to oversee all eye care activities and services throughout the country. Among the eye diseases is trachoma. Trachoma, being a blinding disease, has been targeted for elimination by WHO by the year 2020 in all countries where it is prevalent. So my responsibility within the Division of Ophthalmic Services and Ministry of Health is to oversee the coordination of all trachoma control activities that are summarized in the prefix SAFE, that is safe strategy. S means surgery for those who require surgery. A means antibiotics, where active trachoma is high. WHO recognizes active trachoma to be of public health importance if the preference among children 1 to 9 years is 10% or more. That means if you take 100 children within that community, about 10 or more will have active trachoma. And for the other stage of trachoma, called trachoma trichiasis, where there is interning of the eyelashes, if preference is more than 1% among adults 15 years and above, that is regarded as of public health importance. And so WHO recommends that where trachoma is of public health importance, the safe strategy is supposed to be implemented for its control. And that is my responsibility. And before we go into safe strategy, my responsibility is to see that we are able to suspect certain districts based on the risk factors for trachoma. Then
so tell us the district or the counties that you have trachoma in this country.
We have trachoma in Turkana, West Pokot, Samburu, Marsabit, Isiolo, Kajiado, Narok, and Mbere Mwingi, Kitui, Moyale, Laikipia, and those are the districts where we have
why Laikipia?
trachoma.
I would want to imagine that Laikipia is not hot, is not dusty.
Laikipia as different, as quite different geographical
tell us how
presentations.
How does it happen?
Parts of Laikipia are green, like the areas around Nyahururu,
Yes.
and around Mount Kenya and the town, Nanyuki town.
Yes.
But the northern parts and the western parts are relatively dry with pastoralist communities. And so there is trachoma in the upper parts of Laikipia.
Now, in those areas, how do you deal with communities that, for instance, those who believe, flies are a source of, are a sign when you have flies all over, it's a sign of wealth. How do you deal with such cultural beliefs?
Those cultural beliefs were there several decades, years ago, and we do health education to the public to teach them the real cause of trachoma and the implications of trachoma within a community, implications of blindness that would result from trachoma infection, and why we need to eliminate trachoma. And through health education, they're able to learn that flies are not a sign of wealth, but are a vector for transmitting a disease that can damage their future lives. Because once a person is blind, economically, he is not able to engage himself in economic activities that will be able to help him fend for himself and his family.
But if you look at the lifestyles of those communities, first of all, they are migratory.
Yeah.
They move.
Yes.
Again, the soil will not change dust.
Mm-hmm.
You will not bring, the climate will not change.
Yeah.
There's no water.
Yeah.
So it really is a question of economy. Apart from culture, there is the economic aspect of it.
Yeah.
So unless you provide water, and the government is able to provide water, so that those people are able to, apart from your education, able to get water, not to feed the animals, to water the animals, but to wash the fishes. They may learn to wash fishes. There's no water.
Yeah.
You're not going to travel 20 kilometers to get water, and then you tell me to wash my fish with it.
Yeah, it is true that those areas, the climate may not change. But through the safe strategy, that is surgery, antibiotics, facial cleanliness, F is facial cleanliness. And that has to do with the provision, increasing the accessibility to water, so that coupled with health education, so that the public has better access to water and they can utilize the water to wash their faces.
So what are you doing about water? Because really,
So
that's the crux of the matter.
Concerning water, what the ministry is doing is liaising with the water sector providers, including Ministry of Water and what we call WASH partners, NGOs working in those endemic districts that have projects on water and sanitation. We work hand in hand with them to increase accessibility to water. Such projects include construction of water dams, sinking of boreholes, protecting of natural springs, provision of water tanks for roof catchment when there is rain. Such are the activities that we engage in so that we increase accessibility to water by the affected communities. A case in point is Narok district, where Operation Eyesight Universal, one of the international NGOs in eye care, helped us over a period of years to sink 51 boreholes. And the communities were engaged in the project, and they formed local committees that were trained to how to run and maintain the water points, so that after the partner support is over, they're able to continue with the projects. So they form committees. Those who use the water pay a small fee so that they are able to maintain those facilities.
Right. Back in March 2009, the Kenya plan to eliminate trachoma in 2015 was launched.
Yes.
How far has that project gone?
Yeah, we launched the Kenya National Plan for Elimination of Trachoma with an ambitious desire to eliminate trachoma by the year 2015, ahead of the WHO deadline of 2020. We evaluated our achievements at the end of 2010 to see how much we had achieved and to see whether we were on track towards achieving our goals by the year 2015. Our evaluation at that time indicated that the efforts we had put in were not sufficient to enable us to eliminate trachoma by the year 2015. And so we came up with another document called Trachoma Action Plan 2012 to 2020. So we changed our target year to 2020. This Trachoma Action Plan was supposed to serve as a roadmap towards accelerating trachoma control activities, so that at least going by the WHO target of the year 2020, we can be able to make it. So we are on track. As I speak now, we have carried out surveys in all endemic districts, suspected endemic districts in Kenya, and now we have embarked on full safe strategy for those districts where trachoma was of public health importance. And the number of years that the safe strategy is supposed to be implemented depends on the baseline preference of trachoma, active trachoma. In some districts we carry out safe strategy for 3 years, other districts 5 years. Then at the end of those 3 years or 5 years, we do an end-term evaluation to establish whether we have achieved our targets. In case we do not achieve our targets according to WHO that can enable us be regarded as certified as trachoma free, we give ourselves more years of safe strategy. So for example, in Kajiado, we carried out safe strategy for between the year 2007 to 2010. Then we did an end-term evaluation. The active trachoma had come down from 28.5% to 17.3%. This was not adequate. It was not below 10%. So we, the study, the evaluation informed 3 further treatments. So we have carried out 2. Towards the end of this year, we shall carry out the 3rd. Then we do another end-term evaluation. The same with the Narok. We carried out 3 years of safe strategy. We did an evaluation. The active trachoma came down from 30.5 to 11%. That was a significant change, but still not below 10%. So our study informed 3 further treatments, which we are completing at the end of this year. Then we do another end-term evaluation. So that is how we are going on with the strategy.
To me, it looks like you're treating surface, on the surface, in the sense that you go there with the operations and whatever, but you're not dealing with the problem itself. And the problem is the problem of poverty. Because as long as these people are poor, as long as they're moving, and they move to look for water, and there's not enough water, that's why the Maasais move. That's you see them moving on, they're left to go all the way to Thika, because there's those dry areas. The people who are left there are left without water, but the livestock has gone.
Yeah.
So the mamas and their children, they will be left there with their trachoma until you go there and then do operations. But there's no water. There is poverty. Why? The reason why you cannot eradicate trachoma, to me, is because there's poverty. And until we sort out the problem of poverty, trachoma will remain with us.
Yeah, it is true that trachoma has been regarded as a disease of poverty.
Yes.
Of disadvantaged communities.
Yes.
As we address the safe strategy on the part of eye care service provision, yeah, we liaise with other stakeholders that are able to play different roles in addressing the issues of trachoma. For example, we find one challenge being sociocultural beliefs that hinder our operations. We are engaging social scientists to come in with the strategies on how to engage the communities on behavior change communication so that they are able to change their beliefs, they are able to change their practices that will enhance trachoma control.
You see, Dr.
Yes.
Things like trachoma and the female genital mutilation. Female genital mutilation is almost gone, which is a cultural thing, nothing to do with poverty. It's belief.
Yeah.
But trachoma is a disease of poverty.
Yeah.
There are certain politicians, and that we have CDF, but there are certain politicians who like poverty with their people, so that they can manipulate and control them. If you look at Narok, for instance, Narok has no business being a trachoma area. We have the Masai Mara, the reserve, they get a lot of money from it, but the money is misused, so that we don't get that poverty reduction, that poverty eradication, not even eradication.
Yeah.
Once you eradicate poverty, and you can do it in Narok very easily by using the money properly. But the leaders there, they want Moranism, they want those cultural beliefs that are there, that the more cows you have, the more flies on your face, the richer you are.
Yeah.
So you have a big challenge.
Yeah, it is true. There is a lot of correlation between trachoma and poverty. And poverty, not by the fact that it does not lie under our responsibility as Minister of Health or eye care workers.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to engage other partners who are able to address the issues of poverty within the communities. For example, NGOs working within those districts, having different objectives. There are some of the NGOs that are addressing issues of eradicating poverty, and we are looking. We are seeing an opportunity under the devolved governments to engage the county governments to identify trachoma as a disease that needs a lot of priority, so that they can also focus their resources on addressing the issues of trachoma. So the approach to poverty reduction, I think, is very much multi-sectoral, and we are trying our best to engage relevant partners to address the problem.
Yeah, there's a question here from a viewer saying there was widespread belief that drugs given cause infertility among men, hence silent way for family planning. Most young men in my area, Narok, refused. Give some light on this.
Yeah, it is not true that the drug we use is called azithromycin.
This is the drug for treating eyes.
Yeah, the drug we use for the A component of SAFE, the antibiotic part. We usually do mass drug administration.
For people with and or without trachoma?
The whole population resident in that district.
Yes.
Yeah, we give the antibiotic once a year, 1 dose per year, for 3 consecutive years or 5 consecutive years before we do an end-term evaluation. The purpose of this antibiotic is to reduce the bacterial load of Chlamydia trachomatis, the bacteria that causes trachoma, to a level whereby when we bring in other measures like water and sanitation improvement, then we are able to reduce, to eliminate trachoma. So what the antibiotic does is that it reduces the bacterial load to a level that is very low. When the level starts rising again the second year, we hit it again, it goes down. When it starts rising again the third year, which will be a smaller rise, we hit it again with antibiotic, then putting in measure the other aspects of SAFE, like water and sanitation.
Does the drug have side effects that the men are not able to perform?
The drug does not have side effects in terms of family planning or causing infertility. There is no evidence that the drug has had such side effects. So the only side effect that is usually experienced by a few of those who take the antibiotic is slight abdominal discomfort, especially if one takes the drug before taking a meal. So usually ahead of the activity, we usually advise the community to take something before they take the drug. And in case that abdominal discomfort takes place, it usually disappears after 1 or 2 hours.
So how did you deal with that problem in Narok? People rejecting the thing. You can give the drugs and they not take.
So once such an information
how
comes,
do you ensure that they have taken?
Once such information comes up, we have teams. Normally during the activity, we mobilize a lot of health workers and community health workers who participate in the activity, who undergo prior training before the activity, and we tell them some of the issues that may come up, some of the challenges, like those myths around the drug, and how they need to educate the population, how they can respond to such allegations when they arise. So our staff are able to address those challenges when they arise by educating the community.
Yeah, there's just a concern here. According to trachoma.org, even if trachoma is eliminated, trichiasis surgery will remain necessary for the population already affected. There's a concern here from somebody called Nambair. He says no surgical interventions in East Pokot and people are becoming blind. What are your plans?
East Pokot.
We started safe interventions in East Pokot in the last year, 2012. Our interventions include mass drug administration. We did mass drug administration, giving the antibiotics last year and this year in the month of February. We are doing surgical outreaches where our teams go out. They carry out community mobilization, informing the community in an area where they are going. For example, in Koloa or Parpelo or around Nginyang or Chemulingot, the rural health facilities, either health centers or dispensaries. So the catchment population within such an area where the outreach camp is going to take place are informed in advance through community mobilization, through area chiefs, so that they mobilize the community having eye problems to present themselves. We carry out a screening exercise where people with different kinds of diseases are treated. Those who require trachoma trichiasis surgery are done surgery. Those who require other services are referred to the district hospital where those services can be provided. And last year alone, we operated a total of 431 trachoma trichiasis patients in East Pokot alone.
What is the population of Kenyans with trachoma?
About 7 million Kenyans are at risk of trachoma infection.
Those are very many people.
Yes. And we estimate
because I thought trachoma, is a little issue. 7 million people is a lot of people out of 40.
Yeah, and we estimate that about 53,200 have been blinded by the disease.
53,000?
Yes, yeah.
Well, let's talk about areas, far-flung areas. Yeah. Why is it, for instance, Kajiado, you can't finish it completely? It's near Nairobi here. The geography is not very bad. I mean, why can't you just say, Kajiado, finished?
Yeah, as I said, we are doing safe strategy, and safe strategy is a process. We were not able to finish it within the first 3 years. That's why we evaluated, and we added 3 more years. We shall evaluate again after this 3 years. But the program is not without challenges, and with the lessons learned every year, we try as much as possible to establish ways of overcoming those challenges. So as I said before, cultural issues are a major hindrance, because, for example, it's very difficult to separate a Maasai with livestock. The practice of, for example, constructing the manyatas in a circle, and then the animal shed at the center, and having the animal shed having almost 3,000 heads of cattle. Yes. That's a very conducive environment for fly breeding. Flies, yes. And you'll have millions of flies within that community. As much as you give antibiotics, as much as you provide water, the environment is still conducive for fly breeding. And so that is why it needs some behavior, some cultural and behavior change that we are trying to address through.
Is it changing? Because even if you go, even today when they are doing these modern things, you see it's the same. The one they used to do in 50s is the same.
Yeah.
How come I'm not seeing them changing apart from the urbanized ones? But the fellows in the manyatas, they build the same things.
Yeah,
the community. Why can't they change?
The communities are quite rigid. Culture, you can bear with me, is very rigid, and it cannot just the change cannot just happen within 1 or 2 years. So it takes time. So we keep on teaching them, and we keep on trying to help them realize the need for change. So it may take a long time, but we are hopeful that it will happen one time when the Maasai can be separated with livestock. The main reason they give is security.
Structures. Building living structures away from cattle kraals. You build the cattle shed not where you are living, not the round thing that do it.
Yeah, in most cases, they would not
want to
listen to that because of the security of their livestock.
Yeah,
the livestock is high priority in their lives. So separating is a real challenge, but we are trying our best.
Just looking at other eye conditions, we had a story, a feature on night walkers and day walkers. And somebody is really concerned here, saying, explain medically what is happening to those who can not see during the day, but they can see at night.
There was a feature in Citizen TV.
They see clearly.
During the day?
During the day they don't see.
Can't see.
But at night they can see clearly.
Within the eye, there is a part of the eye called the retina. This is like the film of a camera. When light from an object enters into your eye, it goes to that film, to that retina, and the image, the retina interprets the information that has been received and sends that information through the optic nerve to the brain. Then the brain interprets what you are seeing. That is a person, that is a camera, that is a cow. So within the retina, there are chemicals that enable one to see during the day. And there are also chemicals that enable one to see during the night, the cones and the rods. So ideally, every human being should have both the chemicals that enable him to see both at night and during the day. So in some instances, somebody is born as a genetic problem. Somebody is born without one of the chemicals. So if you miss the chemical to see during the day, you will not see during the day. If you miss the chemical to see at night, you will not see during the night.
So it's not a matter of giving them dark glasses?
No, they will not help.
So how do you introduce that chemical?
No, you cannot. It's natural. You cannot give somebody the cones or.
So are you saying those children you saw on TV, Citizen TV?
That's it.
Yeah. They will live like that. The only support we can give them is to give them special trainings on how they can live with the disability.
Because I saw them reading when they were reading during in school. They look very poor. They had to put a book there, you know, like that.
Because they have difficulty seeing during the day. They miss those
because of that chemical.
It's a genetic
problem caused by
lack of a chemical that enables one to see during the day.
It is not that the light of the sun or any light affects them. It's a chemical thing.
It's a chemical within the retina.
There's a question here.
Then there is an opposite circumstance that can occur when somebody lacks vitamin A in his diet. Normally, he cannot see at night. He sees during the day, but so long as darkness sets in, he becomes blind. We call that night blindness because of vitamin A deficiency. But if such a person is given vitamin A and is advised on the foods to take, then can recover.
There's a question here from Lemuyan from Marsabit County saying, what do you do about the corrupt donor officials and the implementers who pretend to clear Trachoma but swindle out money from the donor? Recently, there was a commotion between Public Health Office Marsabit and donor official Site Savers for transferring the project without their knowledge.
Those are claims, though.
Okay, I should say that
you may not say Site Savers are corrupt. Those are claims by somebody.
That's according to Lemuyan.
Yeah, but it may be not verifiable. So you may not involve ourselves in defamation of Site Savers. Right. But the incidents of corruption by various NGOs.
Okay, we work with partners in eye care, and partners support a lot of trachoma control activities. We started the Marsabit Trachoma project in collaboration with Site Savers, true. And as far as we are concerned, as an office, or as a division of ophthalmic services, we've not had any problem working with site savers or our staff on the ground. I should say this is a claim that is unfounded.
Not necessarily. Maybe it is unfounded, but you know, we know. You have read the book called The Lawns of Poverty. How donors come here, they live in Nairobi, and they say that many of them. How many people have got rich because of it? How many people are getting rich because of trachoma? They pretend they get money from America or wherever. They pretend they have gone to Marsabit. They come and they go to Mombasa for holiday and Masai Mara. Well, trachoma is still driving in Pokot.
Okay, trachoma is a ministry program that is monitored by a national trachoma task force, whose membership is drawn from different eye care partners. And the program is organized and coordinated to an extent that every activity that takes place anywhere in the district, in the counties across the country, is known. So we have not had any cases where there has been swindling of funds.
You have a system of monitoring.
Yeah, targeted towards trachoma control.
All right.
Yeah.
So many thanks indeed, talking to Ernest Barasa, who is the National Trachoma Coordinator. It's been a great honor indeed serving you here on the Power Breakfast Show. Do have a blessed weekend. My name is Johnson Moore.
And I'm Chazin Jao.
Of course.
I'm Ernest Barasa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.